Spiel. Spiel. Hi, Gino.
Hello,
Give me your hand.
Charlotte.
All right, so what do you want to know?
Alright, so this is an interview.
You don't have to read the whole thing. Well, read it.
Okay, this is an interview by 803. Charlotte Bonaparte is interviewed on the 21st of June 2022, live from New Jerusalem, where the dead don't live.
That's right.
The first question is, who are Mitzpah?
What?
Not what, who?
Not significant at this point.
Mhm.
Significant is the name and what it represents. The what is the significant. What Mitzpah are. Two contradictory characters, quite opposites.
Okay, and who are the two people? Their real name?
This is important now.
Yes, who are Mitzpah? Yes.
The people behind
Yes,
it.
yes.
It's not important here.
No?
Because nobody knows that. Well, half of them is very well known. Nobody knows the other half of it.
Okay.
So it's not important who is behind it. It's a concept of Mitzpah that is important here.
Okay.
We can talk about other things, about the personalities, but it's the concept of Mitzpah what we have to nail down. And it's the Mitzpah, the topic.
Right.
Not the people behind it. Not even every Zenuda is important in it. It's insignificant. It should be erased who is behind it. It should be an anonymous record.
So that's what we are dealing with. Two fictitious characters.
Like a comic book characters. Comic book characters
Mm-hmm.
of moral values or attitudes. Two attitudes towards life. Mitzpah are polar interaction. A kind of nuclear fusion of opposites. That's what Mitzpah stands for. In this very personally reduced, almost psychoanalytic regard of it. It's two words, two Hebrew words. The first stands for obedience and observance of the commandos and maturity. That's the mitzvah. The one who is at the stage of the perfect beginner. The bar mitzvah is the right reference to mitzvah. That's when you reach the point that you're conscious already of observance of the commandments. And the other side is the revolting side. (1981). That was the two characters in 1981. The devoted beginner and this other character who is not devoted to anything, who has actually nothing but his visions. Nothing but his own visions. Doesn't believe in any religion, anybody else's visions. Just his own visions. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
The ideology is not devotion, right? Here is the polarity of the ideology and the devotion. Ideology and the devotion. Now, it was undertaken very easily. The Gregory Davidow wasn't a true atheist, but denied the existence of any kind of God. He's godless, because he was a communist. He gave for a godless place, where God was forbidden. Gregory Davidow comes from the communist East, but imagines itself or performs itself as an all-knowing leader of everything. That's what Chutzpah stands for the character of arrogance. There are two characters meeting for one project to prove that polarity is easy to overcome. Nothing is easier to overcome than polarity. The main damnation is the easiest to overcome. That's what the Mitzpah stands for as an experiment, as an anthropological experiment. No other way I can perceive the importance of this little record, then a lot of laws were rebuilt and broken by it. One of them is this polarity. We are really perfectly polar, ideologically and attitude and style and everything else. But a collaboration of a magnificent result. The poles has to be brought together. That's the Mitzpah lesson. The other lesson is the overcoming the law of continuity.
Yeah, that we discuss later.
Yeah.
So, allow me sum it up, okay?
Yes, sum it up.
There is two characters, Mitzpah and Chutzpah. That's
Yes.
the band Mitzpah.
Yes.
And Chutzpah is a negative character and Mitzvah is a positive character.
Yes.
That's it. That's so simple as that.
That's so
it's
simple
a
as
negative and a positive pole meeting in a
Exactly.
formation of an M.
Yes.
That stands for Mitzpah.
Yes, very, very precisely. The letter M
Is a mirror.
you precisely draw it. Because the chutzpah is also a safe character. It's not positive and negative. It's not like that dichotomy of positive and negative. We are far over that. We don't regard chutzpah as a negative character. He has all the equal virtues, but he is a liar, but he is a conscious liar.
This is the fourth
Question.
We went through the identities of the Mitzvah and Chutzpah, whereas these are two, the submissive character and the...
Not submissive, not
No.
submissive. Not devoted is not devotion, is the opposite to submission. There's a difference between the two religions there. Devotion and submission, this is the difference between the two.
What does lonesome harvest signify?
It signifies the record itself, because that's what it is. Pieces were made 40 years before release. The harvesting, the remnants of an unfulfilled project. That's why it has so many elements and references to our past on both sides. As a new title for the old records, because that's what we are doing. It's a loathsome harvest of this lost material. Is a time magic. And the time magic is a war on the law of continuity. It denies the void in between and proves, musically proves, that time is dead, dead. Dead on departure. Because in between, that's what happened, time has died. In between the birth of this record and the release of it, call it death of this record. The birth and the death of this record, in between this period, the time has died. This record, but it's out of time, and that's the main reason of its existence. It's not released in time, not released on schedule, not released in continuity.
What is the law of continuity?
The law of continuity is that there is only progressive evolution. Step-by-step advancement. Even if you look at it from above, it's a horrible vision. As the human race is moving forward, it's a horrible vision.
Sisyphus.
It's a Sisyphus vision.
Yes, the Sisyphus action, the activity of Sisyphus.
That's what Sisyphus is. The law of continuity is the absurd demand to advance progressively. That leads nowhere, obviously. From nowhere to nowhere. That's what the endless sign signifies as a victory sign in the party's case.
What is pop super act about
The pop superette describes itself is to preserve and resurrect gems, forgotten gems. That's what their mission is. Early 80s, like after punk, cold wave, there's a wave cool down. They believe in quality. Normally, even underground labels absolutely do not. Little missionary label, surviving on ideals.
Okay, so who is Tom Verlaine?
Tom Verlaine is the most important figure of the New York early punk scene, avec Richard Hell, who designed actually the punk fashion. Later they separated, probably for taste differences. And Verlaine went on with the television, inspirative to the music of Mitzpah, the most inspirative probably of all the other influences. There are lots of influences. It's all influences. The Mitzpah record, what I like the most is that it gives very little space for individual experimentation. What is his profile? It's just very up to date. It's so as tuned to time as it was in '81, with the reenactment spirit to it. I reconnect with the past in a very particular way. I can be there, but now I see it. That's a kind of time travel exercise to go back to '81 for songs like Pardon and so on.
The next question is, who is Sir Davidow Clark?
You see how anonymous this record is. Everyone will ask it who pays a little attention. Tribute to the dead. Sir Davidow Clark was my nemesis, my biggest enemy and the closest collaborator during the Spanish times. He was the designer of the building and he was the designer of everything party related. He made the Spiel's videos. Without him, the party doesn't exist.
So, what was the real story of Spiel?
Complete opposite to what the papers say, that we were kicked out of the country because of the dissident Seal. Nothing else we wanted but to leave. Foundation of the Spiels, I consider it as a stepping stone to the West. The real story of Spiels is that it was born as a sacrificial animal. And anything it ever did was sacrifice, a project of sacrifices, including the musical part of it. Started out as an anti-nationalist band, already anti-nationalist at home, attacking its own country. Continued in an over-nationalist band representing the Union where his country belonged, representing the East that they have left. They were not kicked out of the country, that's only the myth of reality. They have come to the West to conquer it. In the name of the Soviet Union, it was a communist band, then voting everything on the Red Star. The Red Star was our emblem from the border on till up to 79, 1st of January 79, it was the Red Star under which we were acting as a communist representatives of that ideology of East Europe. But we weren't located to the country, we were coming from the Warsaw Pact. Besides, Spinos was the first band of the Warsaw Pact and not of the fucking little country of it. So, by that I can suppose it was the first punk rock band of the entire Soviet era, Europe. And that's what we were representing. Instead of being emigrants of another territory where we still belong. We didn't belong there when we were there, and we left as representatives of the entire territory. We attached this country to the Soviet Union, and that's how we regarded it. The Soviet Union has become our background, although we had to be anti-communist, anti-government. That's a logical transformation. That's a logical first step of the treason process that Spions has gone through. Superimposition of the three emblems was born in 1979. Up to then, we were representing Russia. We were Russian band. Maybe there were someone else in Ukraine or Poland, punk before us, but I don't know about it. We transported the spirit of the West to the East, and then we transported the spirit of the East to the West. That was our mission, to prove the power of treason über alles. The power of treason über alles. The imposition of the three emblems, that's what changed the Spions into the party. And from then on, that's the story of the party, not Spions, which is a completely other book than what we are talking about right now. The connection of Spions to Mitzpah is an accident. Call it an accident.
So where do we go from here?
Well, since I cannot answer it, I only can say that never mind. Yesterday is done.